After the chairman's speech, the chairman will of the party.
Voter registration exercise is now into the fourth quarter. We restarted the CVR, as we call it, on the 28th of June 2021, after it was suspended for the 2019 general election. Although the exercise was scheduled to restart earlier, it was delayed by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic and various security challenges, including the persistent attacks on our offices and facilities in various parts of the country, mainly between October 2020 and May 2021. In restarting the voters' registration, the Commission introduced the online pre-registration system as part of our determination to continue to improve the electoral process and to ensure that Nigerian voters have the best of voting experience. This innovation makes it possible for intending registrants and already registered voters who may have had issues with their registration to commence the process online and subsequently complete the registration in person at the registration center of their choice. This has worked tremendously well based on the reports we have received so far. Since the resumption of the CVR exercise, millions of eligible citizens have availed themselves of this online pre-registration facility, as well as the physical registration in our state and local government offices nationwide, to register, update their records, or transfer their registration to other places where they wish to vote in future elections. Again, as we may recall, that at our press conference held on the 24th of June 2021, just before the commencement of the nationwide voter registration, the Commission informed the nation that the exercise will take place over a period of 1 year, with a 1-week mandatory publication or display of the register for claims and objections by citizens as required by law, taking place every 3 months. The quarterly exercise was broken into 4 phases as follows. Phase 1, registration of voters, 28th June to 21st September 2021, is done. The second phase, registration of voters, 4th October to 20th December 2021. That has also been accomplished. The third quarter, 3rd January to 22nd March 2022. That has been accomplished. And the fourth quarter, registration of voters, 11th April to 30th June 2022. So the fourth quarter, which is the last, commenced 2 days ago on the 11th of April. The purpose of this press conference is to brief the nation on the outcome of the first and second quarters of the CVR exercise. During the period from June to December 2021, millions of Nigerians commenced their registration online and thereafter scheduled appointments to conclude the process physically. Millions more visited our state and local government offices to register in person without the option of going through the online procedure. For the pre-registration option, 1,014,382 registrants completed the process, while 1,509,076 Nigerians registered in person at our designated registration centers nationwide. Furthermore, 671,106 Nigerians submitted requests to update their records, transfer their registration from where they are currently registered to other locations, or the replacement of their lost or damaged PVCs. the cleaning up of the register. While the number of new registrants is very impressive and demonstrates the eagerness of Nigerians to vote in the forthcoming elections, the Commission has a duty to clean up the register to ensure that only eligible Nigerians are added to the existing register. As we are aware, the foundation for any credible election rests on the credibility of the register of voters. The introduction of the biometric registration of voters in 2011 has helped to sanitize the register. You may recall that initially 73,528,040 Nigerians were registered in 2011. Using the automated fingerprint identification system, AFIS, the Commission was able to remove 4,239,923 invalid registrations. Consequently, the register of voters for the 2015 general election stood at 69,288,117 voters. Subsequently, 432,173 new voters were added to the register during the CBR exercises ahead of the off-cycle governorship elections in 5 states: Bayelsa, Kogi, Edo, Ondo, and Anambra, from late 2015 to early 2017, bringing the total number of registered voters in Nigeria to 69,720,350. You may also recall that preparatory to the 2019 general election, the Commission for the first time embarked on a nationwide CBR exercise on a continuous basis as provided by law. From 27th April 2017 to 31st August 2018, 15,317,872 new voters were registered. Out of this figure, 1,034,141 ineligible registrants were detected and removed from the register to arrive at the figure of 84,004,084 voters for the 2019 general election. Unfortunately, the troubling issue of invalid registration still persists, which we detected while cleaning up the latest registration data. As against the AFIS used in previous exercise, the Commission introduced the Automated Biometric Identification System, the ABIS, which is a more comprehensive and robust system involving not just fingerprint identification, but also facial biometric recognition. Sadly, it seemed that many registrants, either out of ignorance that they do not need to re-register if they have done so before, or a belief that our systems will not detect this infraction, have gone out to register again. This is despite repeated warnings by the Commission against this illegal action. In addition, there are also registrants whose data were incomplete and did not meet our business rules for inclusion in the register. Both categories, that is the failure of ABIS and incomplete data, constitute invalid registrations. Presently, nearly 45% of the completed registrations nationwide are invalid, rising to as high as 60% or more in some states. This infraction happened in all states of the Federation. No state is immune from it. These invalid registrations will not be included in the register of voters. In our commitment to transparency, the distribution of the registration figures, including the percentages of valid and invalid registrations on state-by-state basis, will be made available to you at this press conference. The same information will be uploaded on the Commission's website and social media platforms immediately. This development is worrisome because of the time and resources expended in handling these cases. Even more disturbing are the strong indications that some of our staff may be complicit in facilitating these infractions, notwithstanding the stern warnings. Consequently, the Commission is reviewing reports on such staff and has commenced a detailed investigation which may include the prosecution of those found culpable. Specific registrants associated with these infractions by our staff may also face prosecution in line with sections 22 and 23 of the Electoral Act 2022. I wish to seize this opportunity to request political parties, the media, civil society organizations, and the general public to assist the Commission in educating Nigerians about the problem of invalid registration. As we have repeatedly explained, if you have at any time in the past registered to vote, you do not have to re-register. If you have registered in the past, you should not get involved in the CVR again unless you have had problems with your PVC or fingerprint recognition during accreditation in any previous election. In that case, all you need to do is to revalidate your registration by visiting a designated registration center to recapture your fingerprints and picture. Other registered persons who may also get involved in the CVR are those whose PVCs are missing or defaced, those whose details need correction, and those seeking to transfer from their current places of voting to other locations. These cases do not involve new registration. Apart from this, the CVR is essentially for Nigerians who have attained the age of 18 years and have not registered earlier. With our improved systems using the ABs, the Commission shall continue to clean up the register to eliminate invalid registration and to ensure that only those who should be in the register of voters are included. It is precisely the introduction of this more robust system that has enabled us to improve our ability to detect these invalid registrants. However, we also suspect that some of these invalid registrations may have arisen out of ignorance. Consequently, the Commission is establishing a dedicated helpline for people who need information about the CVR. Kindly use the help desk if you are in doubt about your registration status or whether you should register or not. Furthermore, citizens who have no access to the internet can ask the registration officer at the registration center before proceeding. You can contact the help desk by phone as well as our various social media handles. Availability of the PVCs. After completing the cleanup, the Commission has printed 1,390,519 PVCs for genuine new registrants. In addition, 464,340 PVCs for verified applicants for transfer or replacement of cards have also been printed. Consequently, a total of 1,854,859 PVCs are now ready. They will be delivered to our state offices across the country over the Easter holiday. They will be available for collection by the actual owners in person after the holiday. No PVC will be collected by proxy. I must reiterate that the available cards only cover those who registered in the first and second quarters of the exercise. The Commission wishes to assure those who registered between January and March this year, as well as those who are doing so right now, that their PVCs will be ready for collection long before the 2023 general election. The cases of AQT. and Osun states. The Commission is aware that new voters in the two states, as well as those who applied for transfer or replacement of their lost or damaged PVCs, are anxious to know when their voters' cards will be available for collection. To begin with, all new voters in the two states who registered between June and December last year, have had their cards printed. They are among the 1.8 million cards to be delivered to the states over the Easter holiday. For the two states, the Commission also devolved the registration to ward level and thereafter suspended the exercise. The remaining PVCs for Ekiti State will be ready later this week, while those of Osun State will be ready in 2 weeks. Here I'm referring to the registration conducted between January and March this year for the two states. So all those who registered in the first 3 quarters of the exercise in the two states will get their cards. Party primaries and the 2023 general election. The Commission wishes to reiterate that the dates for all activities in the timetable and schedule of activities for the 2023 general election, including the conduct of party primaries, are firm and fixed. Already, 10 political parties have served notices to the Commission for the conduct of their primaries. With 52 days to the last day for the conduct of primaries, which is the 3rd of June 2022, political parties are once again admonished to adhere strictly to all dates in the timetable, including the nomination of their candidates via the INEC web portal. Such nominated candidates must emerge from valid primaries as provided in Section 84 of the Electoral Act 2022. This is necessary to avoid unhappy consequences of any breach of the Commission's timetable or the Electoral Act. In conclusion, I would like to appeal to all Nigerians who registered between June and December 2021 to collect their PVCs in person. As we devolve the voter registration beyond our state and local government offices nationwide, the PVCs will also be available at such designated centers in our effort to make the collection easier for voters. In addition, we will also contact the 1.8 million registrants by email and text messages on the availability of their cards and the places to collect them. On behalf of the Commission, I thank you for your presence and consistent support. Their cards before the area council elections in the FCT, and therefore were unable to vote. Did they register and couldn't get the cards, or they are not registered at all? I know that in the case of the FCT, before the election, a special case was made for those without fingers. There's, I think, a leper colony in the FCT, and we responded, and they were registered. They were given, the cards were made available for collection. A total of 48,000 or so were registered in the FCT. You will have the figures in the document that we have given you, out of which a little over 14,000, just under 15,000, were invalid registrants, and we did not produce the cards for them. I don't know the rate of collection of the cards that we delivered to the FCT, but any eligible voter who was registered and it was a valid registration, we made the cards available. As for collection, you know, we even devolved the collection at a point to the 62 wards in the FCT ahead of the area council election. So I'm not very clear about the question. Is it about registration of the PWDs or about the collection of the cards, or both? But I hope I've responded to the two questions about registration and availability of the cards for collection. Sarah channels, security. We are all concerned, like every conscientious Nigerian, about the security situation. The truth is that the someone has to secure the environment for INEC to conduct elections. And we have been speaking to the security agencies. But we are doing our own bit based on our constitutional and legal mandate to conduct elections. So we'll continue to do our own bit, and we'll continue to liaise with the security agencies to see how the security challenges can be overcome. But if I tell you that we are not concerned about the security situation in the run-up to the election, I will not be telling you the truth. We are concerned, but we are speaking to those who have the responsibility to secure the process for us to conduct elections. The second issue is the beavers in the FCT. Let me draw your attention to something that happened before the 2015 election, when the Commission introduced the smart card reader. Part of the complaint that we received from citizens is that the Commission ought to have done sufficient pilot before deploying the smart card readers in a major election, like the general election. And so we learned lessons from that. In introducing the beavers, which is an enhancement on the smart card reader, we decided to do pilots, beginning with the Isoko Federal State Constituency by-election, and then subsequently the Anambra and the FCT Area Council elections. Now these are pilots. And then there were issues in the case of Anambra 1. But Anambra 2 had no issues, deployment to Hiala. We have also examined the functionality of the card reader after the FCT Area Council elections, and we have learned lessons. Recall that 2 weeks after the Area Council elections in the FCT, the Commission conducted 6 by-elections in 4 states of the country, in 4 different geopolitical zones, and these elections covered rural Cross River, Ogojayala, and suburban Cross River, Akpabio State Constituency. We deployed in Ungopala in Imo. We also deployed in urban Ondo State with the by-election in Akure North, Akure South, and we deployed the beavers in rural Plateau, Pangshin South, and urban Plateau, Jos North and Bassa Federal Constituency. In none of these elections did we have any challenge with the beavers. We are confident that we have overcome the challenge with the beavers. But what you hear is about the experience in the FCT Area Council elections. What about the 6 by-elections in different parts of the country that we conducted on February the 26th? The FCT was on February the 12th. I'm sure many of you covered the election. What we normally do when we activate our own situation room is that if everywhere is quiet on election day, then it means the election is going on very well. But if there is a challenge with the beavers in 1 or 2 locations, it will be the news on all the talk shows. So we conducted by-elections in 6 constituencies covering rural, suburban, and urban parts of the country. And we are confident that we have overcome the challenges. We are now going to deploy in Ekiti on June the 18th, and then Oshun on July the 16th. But remember, there are also many by-elections that we are going to conduct in between. We will deploy. We don't expect to get it right from the first pilot, but between now and the general election, we have elections to keep tests running, the efficacy of the equipment, and also in addition, immediately after Oshun, we are going to do mock deployment of the beavers in different parts of the country to continue to test the efficacy of the new machine ahead of the 2023 general election. You know, the machine serves several purposes. It's the same machine actually that uploads results on the IRF portal, and we have had no issues with the uploading of results on the IRF portal. So we'll continue to improve on the machine as we have clearly demonstrated in more extensive elections in different parts of the country 2 weeks after the area council elections in the FCT. Jimo, what can we do to make the process of the continuous voter registration easier? I think that's the question you asked. Well, we have done a lot, learning from the experience of what happened. Many Nigerians have forgotten, perhaps so soon, that in 2017 and 2018, when we did the last continuous voter registration, there were so many complaints. And that's why this time around, we introduced the online pre-registration that gives citizens the option to commence the process online, book for an appointment, and then go and complete the registration physically. As a result of which, the kind of queues that we had in the previous exercise did not surface this time around. We have been doing the CVR for the last 9 months. We have just entered into the last quarter of the exercise, April 11th to the end of June, 30th June. And we have been appealing to Nigerians to come and register either physically or commence the process online and complete the registration physically. We have seen the figures coming out from the exercise. But just like the previous exercise, the largest majority of citizens actually turned out in the last quarter of the exercise. Some people say that we are masters and mistresses of the 11th hour. We leave it until the last moment, then we rush to do the registration. And then you hear citizens talking about being disenfranchised. Well, we have been doing this for the last 9 months. The queues were not as long, but now I'm sure the queues will build up, particularly after this press conference. When Nigerians know that we are going to end on June 30th, you will see the queues. But when we said that we expected 20 million to register, we are talking more actually in terms of the cards to print. Remember, the registration is not only for new registrants, but it also includes those who apply for transfer of their registration from one place to another. We have to withdraw their old cards and reissue them new cards to reflect the new polling units where they are going to vote. And it also includes those who lost their cards, or that the cards were damaged completely or even defaced. The law said that we should replace those cards. So the total figure will include all those whose cards we are going to replace. So fingers crossed, we believe that there will be a greater turnout once Nigerians know that it's going to end on June 30th. You will see the number will spike. I think that also answers the question by the Guardian on the number, the 20 million in relation to the number registered. For us, one of the most important things is to continue to clean up the register. Because, as I said in my opening statement, the credibility of any election rests largely on the credibility of the register of voters. And so we'll continue to clean up. 45% of those who registered actually were invalid registrations. And you have seen the figures. In the document that we shared, you have seen the breakdown and the percentages nationwide. And the problem comes across the country. There is no one state that is immune from this bug. So we'll continue to tidy things up, to clean up the register of voters before we add the register to the existing register. And I hope that in my statement, I've also drawn attention to the efforts of the Commission in the past to clean up the register. It's systematic, it's continuous, it's not the first time we are doing it. So what we have just done is in addition to the processes we have earlier applied. But again, I won't be tired of appealing to the media, civil society organizations, political parties and others, not to leave this issue of voter registration and the administration of elections to the Electoral Commission alone. We simply can't do it alone. We need the support and cooperation of all Nigerians. There is one thing I promise you. This commission will never hide anything from Nigerians. Will always be upfront and transparent in dealing with the issues of our election. The only secret about election is when the voter goes to the polling unit on election day to cast his or her ballot. That's the only secret, but otherwise every other process will be open and transparent. And that's why you see we have given you complete information of those who completed the registration, the valid registrations, the invalid registrations, the percentages across the country. And most importantly, if you look at the back page, the last page, it gives you the analysis of registered voters. Just like 2019, the forthcoming general election is also going to be the election of young people. Over 78% of those who registered are young Nigerians between the ages of 18 and 34. So it is their own election. And then we have also given you statistics of persons with disabilities that registered, including type of disability. And we have the breakdown by states of the Federation. We can even drill down to the local government areas. I hope I've responded to all the questions asked and more. Expiry date of PVC, Mia Ogidi, that's correct. The PVCs don't have expiry dates. The PVCs wouldn't expire. In fact, what we have done using the PVCs is to improve on the functionality of the machine in relation to the PVCs. Now it is no longer the chip inside the PVC read by the machine and the good old card reader used to do. Now the data for the polling units is resident in the PVCs, and we can call up your data in various ways. One of which is to use your surname. If we just impute your surname at the polling unit, once you are a registered voter there, your information will pop up. The second way of doing it is on the back of every PVC, there is a barcode. We can use the barcode to call up your data. On each PVC, there is what we call the VIN, the voter identification number. We can type the last few digits of the voter identification number to call up the data. But there is something we added to the register beginning, I think, with Isoko and then Anambra and the FCT. There is a barcode, a QR code on the register of voters. The machine can read the QR code and the information will be brought up automatically. So Mia Ogidi, your card and my card and the cards held by all Nigerians are safe, and they will continue to be valid for all elections. But if you have any issues with the card, please report to the Commission. It is our responsibility to replace the card for every Nigerian as required by law. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable.
Successfully completed the registration between June and December 2021. These cards will be delivered to the states during the Easter break for collection by citizens immediately thereafter. Those who registered between January and March, and those who are registering right now, will get their cards ahead of the 2023 general elections for Ekiti and Osun states. All those who registered in the first 3 quarters of the exercise ending in March this year will also get their cards ahead of June 18th for the election in Ekiti and July 16th for the election in Osun State. So here we unveil the cards before they move to the various states of the Federation for collection personally by the registered voters. No card will be collected by proxy. The Honorable Commissioners help me to unveil this from
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.